Hello, everyone. I'm Andy.
And I'm Mark. It's very early in the morning here.
Yes, because Mark thought he had an appointment and now he doesn't. So we could go on for our possibly longest episode ever.
Which means it's going to be half an hour long. It's going to be a cold one today.
Is it? I think it's quite warm here. I think we're minus 14 or something.
Oh, no, I think we're going to be 20 here.
Oh, that's normal for us.
But I fitted my cheap Chinese garage diesel-powered heater yesterday.
Oh, have you tested it then? Have you been in this morning to check it out?
No. The whole point is, it's obviously probably no interest to anybody, but the garage here is connected to the central heating. Yeah, there's a very low level, 10
degrees or something.
No, it's actually less than that. It's about when it's minus 20, it's about 5 or 6 degrees in the garage, which is enough just to stop paint freezing and things. It's when I go into the garage to work, which I often do, that I wanted something that just keeps the garage at a slightly better temperature to work in, and it works fine. It works really well. Took a bit of time to install it, but it's even got an exhaust, for Christ's sake. There's an exhaust pipe sticking out the side of the garage now.
Well, yeah, because it's diesel.
Yeah, but you say that, but those great sort of long tubey diesel heaters that you buy in, they're too powerful, but they don't have an exhaust.
I have to say, I don't know those great big diesel powerful heaters because
of course you don't, because you've never had a garage
that would warrant one.
Have you ever had a garage of your own?
Don't be ridiculous.
No. I don't know how you can live without a garage. I'm in the garage all the time.
First world middle class problems.
What are you talking about?
I don't know anyone who has a garage in England. Anyone, ever.
You don't know anybody who doesn't have a garage?
Who has a garage?
Yeah, who has a garage?
No. It's just not a thing. Especially in London. Fuck me. Your garage now sells for about £500,000.
So you mean someone like Richard doesn't have a garage? Because he lives in a house.
He lives in a house, but he lives in Windsor. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the garage situation is. He might have a garage.
Nice place to live, though. I didn't know he lived in Windsor. Very nice place.
Yeah, I've told you before.
I don't think I know anybody. Oh, yes, I do, actually. I was going to say I don't know anybody without a garage, but I do. In fact, my best friend Mike, he's just moved to a cottage in the country that doesn't have a garage. I couldn't do it.
It's about time he started becoming a fucking Patreon, that minge bag.
I've told him so many. He does listen. He just doesn't enjoy it. Listening to you and me ranting about God knows what. He just, he doesn't get it.
No, that's because he's a knob. You hear that, Mike? You're a knob.
Oh dear. So yes, it's a bit difficult because obviously the listeners don't know it, but what is it? We only recorded about 5 days ago or something, 4 days ago.
No, we've been recording. I think this is the third time this week.
Exactly, it's the third time this week. So not too much has transpired other than Trump having sent out videos of Michelle and Barack Obama with the body of monkeys. Not offensive at all.
But yesterday you saw the opening of the Winter Olympics in Italy.
I didn't, actually, in Cortina.
No, it's Milan, San Siro Stadium was the opening.
Oh, really? Okay. No, I didn't. Was it good?
I didn't watch it. I couldn't help but notice that there was a bit of an uproar. They had Mariah Carey singing in Italian.
What's wrong with that?
Well, I don't know how much they paid her. I can assure you it was more than I've ever earned in my lifetime. For her.
Yeah, well, she's a megastar.
Oh, come on. She's 100 years old. It's about time idiots like her got out of the way for younger talent. Clear the fucking road. You're having... You're of no relevance to anybody at all anymore. She is the most fucking awful person on the planet to everybody around her. It's a fact.
What, you mean she's a bit of a diva?
You see, you can't excuse disgusting behaviour by saying, "Oh, but she's a diva." She is a disgusting
No, a diva is not a good thing.
Human being. She is a disgusting fucking human being.
I don't even know who she is. I'm going to have to check her out.
For the sake of her flying in for one night, causing, I would guess, anywhere between 10 and 50 mental breakdowns in the hotel she was staying at, simply because somebody had the audacity to breathe in the room she's staying in before
Is it Maria? Oh, here we go, Maria Carey.
But apparently, anyway, after all that, she got out on stage and fucking mimed.
Ah, that isn't good.
That is fraud. How fucking dare you?
You really got... What did she ever do to you, this poor woman?
I don't know if you remember Annalise's son. I can't remember his name now. The one who became a doctor.
Oh, yes, who used to work at the Grand Hotel in Stockholm.
Exactly. He's got some stories about when she stayed there. Not pretty.
Yeah, I mean, what is the point in paying people a lot of money to mime?
That's what I mean. It's time she just got out of the road and let somebody with talent stand up and make a career for themselves.
But
stop sucking up all the free money, you greedy, useless, talentless fuck. That's my 2 cents worth.
2 cents? $200 worth.
See, I would put on a better show than her. I wouldn't lip sync. I'd say fuck, fuck, fuck for real.
She doesn't sing with swear words in it, does she? Isn't she old school?
She doesn't even sing.
The other thing about the Winter Olympics, this ridiculous story, it has to have been completely invented that the ski jumpers were injecting something into their knob to make it bigger so they crossed the finish line earlier.
Were you reading that in Viz or something?
No, it was on the BBC.
Oh, fuck off.
The BBC were reporting on
that is
knob injections.
That is another thing that's happened this week. The BBC have announced that they're putting up the cost of your licence in April, just to cover the costs of their being sued by Trump and lying about every other news story they've ever fucking spoken about this year.
I wonder if... all right, hazard a guess. I think when I left England, it was £147 a year.
Oh, no, it was much less than that.
Was it?
I remember the last time I got caught for avoiding my TV licence and I had to buy one, it was about £60.
Yeah, but...
A year.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
Now it's 180 from April.
All right, okay.
Which is about 175 too much. Because it's a biased propaganda machine. It's not independent. It doesn't have fucking neutrality. It's basically a propaganda machine.
For whom?
For whoever is in charge of the agenda on that day. I mean, come on. Look at what they did with the Trump speech. I don't care what he said or when he said it. The fact that they chopped it up and made it sound the way they wanted it to is just fucking fraud again. And they deserve to get sued. I want to see them shut down. I would shut them down completely. Sack everyone. All of them. Fucking lot of them.
So that's Maria Carey.
Yep.
You want
BBC.
gone. The BBC you want gone. Is there anybody else on the list this morning, Andy?
Fuck me,
Did you not sleep well?
We've only got an hour. Oh. Anyway, Saturday morning, it is here.
It's still dark, I can see, because you've got your lights on.
Yeah, but I've also got the curtains drawn behind my monitor to stop the sounds, the tinny echoes. I've also got the blinds down, but it is actually daylight outside.
Oh, is it? Well, it's daylight here, but I've got. I saw something on. I bought some stuff on Temu, which is he gave me a big bollocking for.
Who did? Izzy?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I didn't know it.
I would have thought that she would have been one of Temu's biggest customers.
No, she never buys stuff from them because they're worse than Amazon in terms of their staff, and they've been done for child labour abuses and things like that.
Well, that's basically exactly the same as Amazon, who are incidentally in the process of shutting down their first ever warehouse in Milton Keynes at the cost of 500 jobs, I think, or 600 jobs.
All right. Obviously I've told you I've been to the one in Swindon.
Yeah. I mean, they're not actually shutting down because they're downsizing. They're opening a new one further up the M1 in Northampton or somewhere, wherever, close by, which is going to have 1,200 jobs and eventually 2,000. They reckon they're going to try and transplant all the staff, but I'm not sure of the distance and how actually realistic that is.
Milton Keynes is in Buckinghamshire.
Well, I haven't got the story in front of me. I'm just remembering what I read yesterday.
Yeah. Anyway, whatever. Temu, don't use them apparently.
Izzy said so.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't check, but I rely on her as a.
Did you see our little Facebook post this morning?
No.
I did an AI of you.
Did you?
Check your Facebook quickly.
Hang on, how do I do that?
Go into Facebook.
All right, yeah. I don't have any notifications.
No, because I didn't tag you, but it should be on your feed.
There's an ad break, 2 seconds, Hi-Fi Clubben.
I mean, just type in my name or something in the search and you should see it come up.
Yeah, but that involves a search.
Yeah, it's got Andy. A magnifying glass.
Is it Andy or Strange Stuff?
Either one.
Oh, there's 9 new posts.
Fancy.
Strange Stuff podcast, new episodes 1 hour ago.
Yes.
That's a cartoon.
Yes. It's a caricature, in fact.
You're right, it's a caricature.
A caricature, as I said.
No, actually. That doesn't look anything like me.
Oh, it actually does.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, it actually does. I must admit, mine's a little bit more accurate.
So, when you did that caricature, did you submit a photo and then it made a caricature?
It's the original photo of me and you outside... God, what was that place? Vasastugan, when I had my sunglasses on and we were both like elbow on the table.
All right. I have a caricature of me. How am I going to show you that?
I've seen it.
Have you on my study wall?
Yes.
That was done. That was done before we got thrown out of the Cafe Royale.
Oh, was it done inside the Cafe Royale?
Yeah, it was at the Christmas party.
Oh, dear. What is that? Have you got a beard there?
No, a moustache.
Oh, God, that is so gay.
Oh, dear. Yep, delete that photo. We don't want that on record. We can delete that one as well. Oh, and that one.
Yeah, so you need to share that, by the way.
Yes. Yeah.
You need to share all our posts.
Yes.
As does everybody. While we're here talking about it, we would like to grow our audience, and the only way we can do that is by getting more views and more listens. So if you please share everything that we share, it would be doing us all a great favour. Liking, subscribing and sharing is apparently the way to do it.
I beg to differ. I think the quality of production is a big thing.
It doesn't matter if you're making a fantastic production and the people who watch it just go, well, that was all right, and then turn the phone off. It doesn't reach anybody else, ever.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, we need to work harder and smarter.
Work harder.
Anyway, What else has been
Yes.
going on?
What else has been going on? You've had the start of the Olympics. Where do you even see it? Where can you watch the Olympics?
Probably on YouTube by now.
Ah, YouTube, of course.
YouTube's got everything. I mean, if you want to know how to install your diesel generator, I'm sure that it's on YouTube.
No. That's the sort of thing I do use YouTube for, but I wouldn't have thought that they had
everything.
Really?
There's nothing on there, or there's nothing that's not on there.
Yeah. So yes, we've had a little bit of Trump activity, offensiveness, and we've had the Olympics. I don't think there's anything else going on. What's happened literally in the last 3 days?
Not much. I mean, this is part of the problem of recording so many episodes so close together, is that we overtake the news. I mean, the only other thing I can think of is Mandelson. He's been had his home raided.
No, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, the police broke in. But I mean, the thing is, what's the point now? You've given him like fucking 9 months notice to hide anything incriminating. But I mean, I think it will be the straw that breaks the camel's back as far as Starmer's concerned. Because I think, people have just had enough, completely had enough now. We're talking about Peter Mandelson, a man who was already sacked twice from government for lying, being given a job in Starmer's government and then moved into the American embassy. I mean, for fuck's sake, after his association with Epstein became public knowledge. It's just, this is a man who was supposed to be a fucking solicitor, a lawyer, a barrister. And you can't tell someone who's lying. Did he fool you, you fucking liar? You empty-suited motherfucker. It's time for Starmer to go the same way as Mariah Carey. Get out.
Starmer didn't want to appoint Mandelson.
Who's the PM? That's what I want to know. Who's the PM? And if you don't want to appoint someone, but you do, who's in charge of you? And what are you doing calling yourself the PM? So
there's just no logic to what you're saying. I mean, I'm
absolutely
not a massive supporter
of... If you're the Prime Minister, you pick your cabinet, you pick your staff. You don't fucking get told. What's the point of being Prime Minister if you've got no say?
Because you can't, as Prime Minister, as the CEO of a company, you can't have your finger on every issue that goes on within the company or the government. You have to rely on your advisors.
Can I point you in the direction of Donald Trump?
Yes.
Who picks who the fuck he likes?
Yeah, and look, so there's a perfect example. Donald Trump actually partook in all of this Epstein stuff, and he's still in power. Yet Keir Starmer made a mistake by relying on the advices of an advisor who hired someone who had connections with Epstein, probably didn't abuse the girls, and you're calling for Keir Starmer to be sacked.
Yes, I want him sacked because if he's
but that's the point. You want him sacked.
If he is taking advice from people who are recommending known fucking offenders and liars and cheats to be in positions of power, then he needs to sack them as well.
No, but I think that's this Mickelson fellow, who is the chap who recommended, strongly advocated. Starmer wanted to appoint someone else, but his chief of staff, I think it is his chief of staff, pushed for Mandelson. I think he has gone or is going.
And not just gone, but fucking investigated as well.
I'll tell you what, if Keir Starmer does go, it will be excellent for the podcast because you know who's going to take over.
Oh, I know.
Angela Rayner.
No.
You don't think so? You think it's Andy Burnham?
No, because he's not even an MP. He was blocked.
No, but he could be. He could be.
No, you can't have Rayner. I mean, come on. She's a fucking tax evader. You can't just have one criminal replacing another.
So now Keir Starmer's a criminal.
Of course he's a criminal. He's criminally negligent. And he's got a criminal voice. He speaks like that. And you can't have someone speaking like that without being guilty of something. I'd rather have David Beckham. Oh, I'm Prime Minister now, innit?
Did Keir Starmer, did you meet him in an earlier life and he irritate you? Because right from the word go, you've had a go at Keir.
I've never changed my tune on Starmer. He has always been a wrong 'un in my book, and I'm proved right yet again.
But when you say wrong 'un, you see he couldn't be further from a wrong un.
Oh, no, he's a wrong un. What's the first thing
so
he
you
did
actually think that Keir...
The first thing he did when he got into power was to say, thank you for putting me into number 10, and now I'm going to basically tattoo numbers on all your arms with a digital ID, you bunch of poor people trolls. That's basically
and has that
the
happened?
Thing he fucking... No, and it won't. And you know why? Because we will not let it. The British people will not fucking have it, and I'm so proud of them for standing.
But how can you live in a country where you have digital ID if it's so powerful an argument for you? You live in Sweden.
We don't have digital ID.
Of course we do.
No, the digital ID...
It's called digital bank ID.
The digital ID that they're trying to impose on the United Kingdom is not the same as what we have here.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't. Let's not do this because we've had our episode. You actually agreed with most of my reasoning on the digital ID. So let's not argue in favour for it now.
No, I'm just trying to get to the bottom of this animosity towards Keir Starmer.
I fucking hate him. I've hated him from day one.
You don't live in the country.
Before he was Prime Minister. I hate him while he's Prime Minister. And I will hate him after he's been head on spike and hung, drawn and quartered and raped like Gaddafi.
You didn't even feel this strongly about Boris Johnson, who was obviously a wrong 'un.
He wasn't exactly my favourite cup of tea either, was he, Johnson?
No, but that's my point. He wasn't your favourite cup of tea, but you didn't go into a massive rant every time you mentioned his name.
I'm getting battle fatigue from being right all the time. It's like, why don't you just ask me who we should have as the Prime Minister and cut out all this bollocks?
Yeah, but well, all right, then let me ask you that. Who should be Prime Minister in the UK?
Screaming Lord Such.
I don't think he's around anymore.
Even better, we could have the corpse of Screaming Lord Such as PM. He could not be any less effective than the one who's there now.
I think he's the Raving Loony Party.
Yes.
Monster Raving Loony Party. I have a feeling he died a few years ago, actually.
He did. Much missed.
Yes. Well, we could promote... who's the Mayor of London?
Fuck off. Don't start me. Right, it's time we get into what we're going to talk about. Fuck me.
I'll tell you what, I reckon the Mayor of New York could become president.
He's another one who will be shot, hung, drawn and quartered.
What do you mean? Why is it you have it in for these people who only have good intentions?
Good intentions?
Yes.
Oh, no. No.
You always complain that Keir Starmer's not a man of the earth, and you've got someone in New York who is a man of the earth, as it were.
The Mayor of New York is the one who said that it was fine that those two mental cases killed that soldier, Lee Rigby, because he was a legitimate target.
I don't think he said that.
Oh, yes, he did. And it's on video, and you can watch that video today.
No.
Yes. Don't just because you say no doesn't mean it's not true. I've seen the video myself.
That is going to be checked. You're going to be fact checked.
Feel free, and once again you'll have to say, "Oh no, you were right." Anyway, do remember checked. On a lighter note, and now talking of freaks, there's my segue. Do you remember, on a lighter note, quite a while ago, we did an episode about P.T. Barnum?
Yeah.
I thought we'd go back to P.T. Barnum and talk about some of his star attractions, because we never really went into the attractions in his freak show, but we did go into P.T. Barnum, who was a bit of a freak himself, if you remember.
Fine, but I would just like to point out that we did an episode of Elephant Man only 2 or 3 weeks ago, so we're sort of... Is this a theme for the new year? Freaky theme?
You know, there's more than one freak in the world. It's like saying, we did an alien episode, so why should we ever do another one? Because
actually, I wouldn't... What was the Elephant Man's name?
John Hurt.
No, exactly. But that's what I remember. I shouldn't really call it. He wasn't a freak at all. Well, I don't know. John Merrick.
In fact, it was Joseph Merrick, but called
Joseph Merrick. Because I wouldn't describe him as I don't know. It's an unkind word, freak, isn't it?
You wouldn't describe any of them as freaks anymore. But that was acceptable, and that was the language of the day.
I suppose so.
You know, we're not a politically correct podcast anyway.
No, but I'm hopefully the voice of reason. I do like to steer you, and I've nothing to do with political correctness. That's just a load of bollocks.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just what's wrong and what's right.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that. Who was it? It's one of those neighbour actresses who married some billionaire knob in London, and she used the word retard in an interview, which everyone wants her to apologise for, and she said, "Fuck off, mate."
Who was the most famous? Who's that girl singer? Kylie. It wasn't Kylie, was it?
It was Holly Valance.
Never heard of her.
Hot, I have to say.
Never. So all is forgiven because she's very hot.
I would absolutely fucking do her. Lucky bitch.
Andy, when was the last time you had sex? You'd do anything with 2 legs. I'm surprised the cats don't walk. They cower into the corner every time you enter the room.
I told you that Reggie, at least, is regularly sexually assaulting me.
Yes, exactly. He's getting his own back.
It's quite frightening. Anyway,
so
back to our story.
J.D. Barnum, or whatever his name was.
P.T. Barnum. But I mean, maybe not all of these people worked for P.T. Barnum, but they were definitely all in the entertainment business, as it were.
Do they have, did they make independent lives for themselves, or were they...
Let me tell you.
Coward.
Let me tell you, instead of a Q&A, let's have a narrative and a stunned silence, or an interjection with an intelligent question.
There's little chance of that.
There's little chance of either of those. So, in the early 20th century, audiences at circuses and sideshows all around the world, or all over our flat Earth, depending on your point of view, were captivated by Jean Libera.
He was the big bloke.
No, he was the double-bodied man. And what he had was a small parasitic twin named Jacques growing out of his torso.
Live?
Jacques had 2 arms, 2 legs, and a partially formed head which was embedded in Jean's stomach. But reportedly, he depended entirely on Jean's bodily functions to survive. So consequently, Jean had the burden of carrying his twin brother around with him his entire life. Still, despite his condition, Jean managed to lead a fairly normal existence. He got married even, had 4 children, and he lived to be about 50 years old. But with very few records of Jean Libera's life outside of the sideshow, much of his life story is pretty much shrouded in mystery. We know that he was born in Rome around 1884 with a parasitic twin attached to his abdomen. and he was one of 13 children, another one of which also had a parasitic twin, but they didn't survive past infancy.
So there's a difference between a Siamese twin, where you have both persons sort of functioning.
We'll come into the Siamese twins later. They are featured in this particular episode.
But a parasitic twin, he wasn't a compos mentis individual because he had his head buried in the
independently. The point is with
but could he talk?
The point is with conjoined twins, they function as individuals, but this one could not function as an individual.
Because when you said his head was buried inside John's tummy,
half inside his abdomen, so there's not much conversation going on.
No, but could he talk?
Clearly not.
So he didn't eat.
No, he depended entirely on Jean for all his bodily functions.
All right.
So Libera's twin, Jacques, was a vestigial parasite, and this condition occurs when the embryo only partially separates into twins and the two sides develop asymmetrically in utero, resulting in the smaller twin being attached to the larger, more developed one. And parasitic twins like Jacques are a type of conjoined twin. According to the Cleveland Clinic, conjoined twins are incredibly rare, affecting only 1 in about 50,000 pregnancies worldwide. Parasitic twins, meanwhile, account for around 10% of conjoined twins and affect less than 1 in 1,000,000 births worldwide.
Hang on a second, there can't be 1 in 50,000 pregnancies is a co-joined twin.
Yeah.
No.
It's statistics. Do you know, statistically, abortion has killed more people than are alive today on the planet. There's a statistic for you.
Yeah, but that's like my statistic, which sounds ridiculous. There are more people alive today than have ever died.
Unless you count abortions.
But 1 in 50,000... Well, hang on a second. No, it can't be right. There's 61...
It's
1, 2, 3... 1, 2, 3... Divided by 50... 1, 2, 3...
Okay, bear in mind...
So there's 1,200 co-joined twins living in England at the moment.
Bear in mind that these twins are usually detected in the womb at early enough stages that people can make decisions on whether or not they want to carry out the pregnancy.
Oh, I see. So that's actually in pregnancy. It doesn't mean they're born.
No, but they are definitely conceived.
So, sorry, what was that abortion statistic? What? There are more people alive today than have been what?
No,
what was the abortion?
There are more people that have been aborted than are alive today. You'd be amazed at the number of abortions that are carried out.
Over history, you mean, abortions?
Well, I mean, we've only been doing it since really the 60s.
Abortions?
I mean, legally.
Well, legally, yeah.
Anyway, that's another episode.
No, that would be a bit contentious.
Now, because vestigial twins almost always die in the womb, today, doctors typically remove the parasitic twin after birth to prevent the surviving twin from experiencing issues.
All right.
But in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, people with vestigial parasites would often perform in circuses and sideshows, and that's exactly what Jean Libera did. Jean Libera grew up to be a travelling freak show performer, known as the double-bodied man because snappy. Showing off his small twin to curious audiences at circuses and sideshows all over the world. Now, often the brothers would wear matching suits during performances. I don't know if people really fainted when they saw Jean Libera, said freak show photographer Diane Arbus, as reported in Rachel Adams' book Sideshow USA freaks and the American cultural imagination. He looked a bit rueful in a poster on the far wall, standing in a tuxedo, sweetly holding the hands of his vestigial twin, who grew, head inwards, sticking out of his abdomen, and he wore, the twin did, little patent leather shoes and a nappy to keep him from wetting his pants.
So he had a bottom?
Yes, because his head was in the belly, and the rest of his body came out.
Oh,
so his
I see.
little arms and his little legs were wiggling him fiddy. Help, help.
Well, he couldn't know. He couldn't because his face was going into the chest, wasn't it? Or was his face poking out?
His face is in the belly. He was thinking it. Help me, help me.
What was that ridiculous Mike Myers thing where he was mini-me or something?
What do you mean? Are you having a go at little people now? Are you being anti-midge?
No one could be more offensive to short people than you, Andy.
What do you mean?
Well, I simply refer you to your bucket list sexual activities.
What, nuns? So Jack had 2 small arms, 2 hands, 2 legs and 2 feet. And while parasitical twins typically lack consciousness, according to some reports, Jacques was very much alive and could even move, although he depended on Jean to survive. Jean and Jacques quite literally shared everything, including circulatory and nervous systems. So if you stuck a pin in Jacques' arse, Jean would go, ow! As Mark Hartzman wrote in his book, American Sideshow, another catchy title, pamphlets distributed at Jean Libera's performances proclaimed that a very thorough and complex X-ray had shown that Jacques' partially formed head was embedded in Jean's stomach and measured only 6 inches in circumference. Still, with few records of Jean and Jacques Libera's life, it's hard to know what exactly was true and what was exaggerated in the name of showbiz. When he wasn't on stage, Jean managed to live a relatively normal life, supposedly covering Jacques with a cloak whenever he went outside. And as I say, he also had a wife with whom he had 4 healthy children. Eventually, Jean Libera retired from showbiz and moved back to Italy, where he died sometime between 1934 and 1936 at the age of around 50. And while Jean Libera and his brother were a rare case, they certainly weren't the only conjoined twins to perform in European and American circus shows at the turn of the century, the 20th century.
I've had a terrible thought that I can literally picture if Trump and such like continue in the way that they're going in America, freak shows will be back.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And you can literally see it happening, that they'll have a good laugh at other people's physical disfigurement.
They're doing it now.
Yeah, they are. Can you imagine moving back into a world like that and it's just around the corner?
Well,
hope Robin's proud of himself.
Stop having a go at Robin. He's young, easily led, misguided. One of the first documented cases of conjoined twins, and arguably the best known, was that of the Bunker twins, Chang and Eng. In fact, the term Siamese twins was originally coined in reference to these brothers who were born in Siam, Thailand as we know it now, in 1811. Now, the 2 men, both perfectly healthy from birth, were connected at the sternum and waist by only a few inches of tissue. In 1829, the Bunkers left Siam with a British sponsor to tour with sideshows and circuses around the world. They even had a stint in P.T. Barnum's American Museum. Can you imagine, just as a side note, trying to make The King and I today with Yul Brynner?
Oh, you mean because he wasn't?
Because he wasn't from
Thai.
Thailand.
Well, not well. Yeah, you're right.
Etc. Etc. Fuck me, he'd be cancelled quicker than a check from a.
I was sorry. I'm just going back to these poor co-joined twins. If they were joined at the sternum, that means they were facing each other. What?
And the head.
Oh, and the head.
Yeah.
So they were facing each other.
As far as I remember. Oh, no, they weren't joined at the head, actually.
No, it says sternum and stomach.
Sternum and stomach, but sort of side by side. I'm looking at a poster, but it's not a photograph. It's an illustration, so it might not be exactly accurate.
Yeah.
But anyway, the Bunker brothers eventually settled down in North Carolina. They married a pair of sisters, which would have been really funny at bedtime. Oops, sorry, I didn't realise that was your wife. No problem, etc., etc. And between them, they had 21 kids. Now, you're not telling me that someone didn't play offside at least once. 21 kids. I'd want paternity tests on every single one of them.
Yes, but in those days, to have 10 children wasn't unusual because child mortality was so high. But
21, you're talking about the same time frame because only one of you could, I don't know, maybe they could both do it at the same time. Do you reckon they had a little whistle go, whoop, everybody change, whoop.
God. So that was their source of income.
Yeah, there was good money. I mean, it was the only source of income. Who's going to give them a job? What could they do apart from be exhibited in a freak show in the 1800s?
That's an absurd proposition. Of course, they can do all sorts of things.
Like?
Well, outside of physical labour, why couldn't there be?
They're fucked for being chimney sweeps.
What about accountants or doctors? It could be anything.
And which one would you pay? And which one would be willing to sit there for free?
I'm just saying, just because you've got a physical disability doesn't limit you to working in a freak show.
Look, mate, being fully abled in Victorian times didn't guarantee you a job of any kind.
No, that's true.
Especially if you were a lady.
Well, ladies didn't work.
Oh, they did, if they were working class. If they were poor, they became maids or hookers. They did both careers.
No, I think there were alternatives between maids and hookers.
Not really.
Really?
They might have called themselves seamstresses, but we all know the seamstress union was basically hookers.
Where did you get that from?
Terry Pratchett. He told me. And he's a sir.
That seamstresses were hookers in disguise.
The Guild of Seamstresses is basically hookers. So anyway, back to the Bunker brothers. Well, we're finished with them, actually. They basically settled down and had 21 kids between them. One of the most tragic cases involving conjoined twins in the early circus days was that of the Hilton twins. And I'm not talking about Paris, but Daisy and Violet. And the two girls, who were born in England in 1908, they were fused together at the hip and the pelvis. Their mother was unmarried, and shortly after their birth, their mother's employer, Mary Hilton, effectively bought the twins with the intention of putting them on display for entertainment. What a cunt. What a cunt. And obviously, she was a cleaner, not a seamstress. Daisy and Violet began performing and touring at the age of 3 years old under the strict care of Mary Hilton. The twins were essentially enslaved by Mary and her husband, and later by Mary's daughter after her death. They were forced to work long hours with no pay, and faced beatings if they disobeyed their captors. But in 1931, the sisters sued their managers and won their emancipation, and they went on to perform in vaudeville and burlesque shows as an independent act. So straight into the Seamstresses Union.
So are you saying that vaudeville dancers, they were all hookers as well, were they?
Burlesque shows are pretty much strip shows from the Victorian times.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean they're hookers.
Look, it's semantics. You can argue semantics.
It's not. It's definitely not semantics, you idiot. It's a reflection of your opinion of women as a whole.
No, my opinion of women as a whole is very, very good and very high. But I'm just
other than the fact they're either, what did you say? They're either hookers or what did you say? There's only two types of women, hookers and I've already...
only two jobs available.
Yes.
Look, don't twist my words to try and make me look bad. I'm a storyteller here.
I don't really have to twist your words. I'm a storyteller.
I don't make the story up. I just tell you what it is.
Anyway, these poor twins, Rosie and whatever...
See, you haven't even got the fucking decency to remember their names.
What do you mean? I got
Daisy and Violet.
Daisy and Violet. So at least, I mean, you know, fair enough. That was their choice, and they made a career of it, as it were, living independently.
Yes.
Co-joined.
Yes. A bit like OnlyFans today, I suppose. They're not hookers either, are they?
No, they're not. Literally, they can't
literally
be.
They are.
No, literally, they're not.
Well, literally, they are sex workers.
Yeah, which is completely different.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Left-wing, wet-wib liberal motherfucker.
Well, I mean, they're on the other end of the internet. You can't have sex with someone via the internet.
Not always. They are available for hire. Lots of them meet up with their customers for vast amounts of money. It's just another means to an end. Anyway, that story has since inspired a number of movies, as well as a Broadway musical, Sideshow, which premiered in New York in 1997 and was nominated for multiple Tony Awards.
So, sorry, the movie was called Sideshow?
Yes.
I don't know whether I'd run to see it.
You don't have to, do you? Because, you know, we live in the age of streaming.
If I knew how to work my new smart TV, we live in the age of streaming, but I don't know how it works.
Well, ask your grandson to show you.
Yes, actually, Leo, or even Ralph, who's only 9 months old, probably knows more about it.
The other one called Ralph? Is it called Ralph?
What are you talking about?
His
What's
name
wrong
is
with that?
Ralph, man. It's a reference from Up in Smoke. You'd never understand it.
Up in Smoke, is that a movie or a musical?
It's a movie.
Oh, no, I don't remember that.
So the vintage fascination with American freak shows has, fortunately for now, been left in the 19th and early 20th centuries. Carnival goers marvelled at the bizarre results of procreation in bearded ladies, strong men, sword swallowers, and little people like Tom Thumb. But how exactly these performers fared as the morbid fascination for paying customers is hard to understand, particularly when there's so little honest information on them. And would you have any interest? I mean, it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because was this literally the only way for them to make any money? And it was literally the only form of entertainment available in an otherwise dark and grey world.
Because there wasn't any TV.
No.
There wasn't radio.
No. There was the local vaudeville hall and the burlesque, but that wasn't the place that you could go on a date. If you were trying to court a woman, you wouldn't take her to a burlesque show. You would take her to the freak show.
The world you live in, Andy. What about variety shows? Have you ever heard of those? A variety show?
You're talking vaudeville. Vaudeville on its own would not have survived without sex. Sex sells.
What are you saying
You would have
that
your comedians, you would have your dancers and your singers, but you would also have the sex acts.
in the same show?
Yes.
This is another fact check.
Help yourself.
So the Royal Variety performance, there were sex acts involved, were there?
Why do you think Prince Charles used to go, especially when the 3 Degrees were playing? Oh, my God.
So now the 3 Degrees were involved in sex acts.
With Prince Charles, 100%. 100%. He couldn't keep his little royal todger to himself when the 3 Degrees were in town. He had a thing, really serious thing about the 3 Degrees.
I think they're all pretty old now, aren't they?
Well, Diana Ross is one of the 3 Degrees. Mary Ferguson was another one. And
I have a feeling that Diana Ross is still alive.
She definitely is.
I don't think she's singing anymore. She must be nearly 100.
Probably 80s, I would say.
Oh, you think no older than 80, Diana Ross?
Yeah, I don't think she's that old.
All right.
Excuse me.
Well,
I'm glad this is an episode that's going on our Patreon because you're making me look really, really unsavoury.
Oh, you were right, Andy. She's only 81.
Yeah, there you go. Funnily enough, I'm right again. It's uncanny how often that happens. So, such is the case about the little information for Francesco or Frank Lentini, the so-called 3-legged man who made a living off his rare condition of having been born with a parasitic twin. So he was born in May of 1889 in Sicily, in Italy, obviously, as either an only child or the 5th of 12. Not sure which.
It's quite a variation,
I know,
isn't it?
but, you know, lack of documentation, etc. It could be that he was the
5th of
only
12
child
or
of a mistress or the 5th child of a wife, who knows. But Frank Lentini was born with 3 legs, 4 feet, 16 fingers, and best of all, 2 sets of genitals.
So, hang on a second. How can you have 4 feet and only 3 legs?
1 foot growing out of your ear hole or something. I mean, anything is possible. When it comes to parasitic twins, I mean, there are quite a lot of people who are born that still have parts of their parasitic twins inside them. Anyway, I'll try and explain as much as possible. His extra leg sprouted from the side of his right hip with a 4th foot protruding from his knee. His condition was the result of a second embryo that began to develop in the womb, but unfortunately couldn't separate from its twin. And one twin obviously came to dominate the other. At 4 months old, Lentini was taken to a specialist about the possibility of amputating his additional leg, but the threat of paralysis or even death kept the doctor from carrying out the procedure.
I think it's paralysis.
Paralysis. He became known as Il Maragabisilio, or the Marvel in Corsican, or even more cruelly as Little Monster around his hometown. I mean, it's easy to say, isn't it? Little Monster. Lentini's family consequently sent him to live with an aunt to avoid further disgrace and embarrassment. In 1898, at just 9 years old, Lentini made the long and arduous journey to America with his father, where they met with a man named Giuseppe Mangriano in Boston. A professional showman, Mangriano had been in America for 3 years by the time he met with Lentini, about potentially adding him to his show. And it was just 1 year later that Frank was listed as one of the top acts in the world famous Ringling Brothers Circus.
Mm-hmm.
Lentini was billed as the three-legged Sicilian, the only three-legged football player in the world. The greatest medical wonder of all time, or sometimes simply the great Lentini. The young man performed such feats with his third leg as kicking a football, jumping over a rope, skating, and bicycling. And in addition to all this athleticism, Lentini was also quick-witted and funny, known for giving interviews while using his extra limb as a stool to sit on. Lentini would answer questions that ranged from the innocently curious to the explicit, whether discussing his hobbies or the particulars of his sex life with an extra leg. The three-legged man was able to give hilarious answers to some rather intrusive inquiries.
But didn't he have two willies as well?
Yes. When asked, for example, if it was difficult to buy shoes in a set of 3, Lentini responded that he bought 2 pairs and gave the extra one to a one-legged friend. He had a knack for charming self-deprecation and was known to joke that he was the only man who didn't need a chair because he could always rely on his third leg as a stool. During his time travelling around the US, Lentini learned to speak English, and he was known for his poise, intelligence, and unabashed pride in his deformity. He amassed great fame and fortune. And despite his unconventional career path, Lentini was able to use his charisma to woo a young actress named Theresa Murray. The two were married in 1907 and went on to have 4 children: Josephine, Natalie, Francesco Jr., and glaucoma. While Lentini and Theresa did eventually separate in 1935, this wouldn't stop the great Lentini from finding love again, and he would go on to spend the rest of his life with a woman named Helen Shoup. Lentini performed in sideshows with the Ringling Brothers Circus and in Buffalo Bill's Wild West show. And by the time he died of lung failure at age 77 in 1966, he had not once stopped touring. 50 years after his death in 2016, Lentini's hometown of Rossellini in Sicily celebrated that unconventional hometown hero by way of a 2-day memorial festival. And the memorial invited any and all of Frank's descendants, near and far. While sideshows have fallen by the wayside as America's primary form of entertainment, the public's fascination and even romanticization of the era has never fully left the collective consciousness. You might well remember the 2017 film The Greatest Showman, for instance, which featured a rotating cast of sideshow characters, all based on real-life performers. Naturally, Frank made an appearance, played by actor Jonathan Radavid.
I do remember that.
Yeah, the success of Frank Lentini serves to remind us just how amazing and fantastical the fully realised American dream can be. Viewing his parasitic twin as an asset rather than a hindrance is undoubtedly just one of many reasons that Frank Lentini found success and happiness in America. I've never complained, Lentini said in his later years. I think life is beautiful and I enjoy living it.
Yeah, but what is that American propaganda? What about all of the people that have been abused and taken advantage of as a result of their disability?
I'm sure we'll hear about.
He was one of the lucky ones.
I'm sure we'll hear about some of them. I'm sure we'll hear about some of them. Now, at the turn of the century, no beacon beamed brighter with opportunity than the United States. Untold masses migrated to America in search of a better life. The rise of circuses and sideshows saw spectacle at every corner, and contortionist freaks like Martin Lorello, making their living by dazzling crowds. Rooted in death-defying stunts like lion taming and sword swallowing, sideshows also put disfigured people at centre stage for audiences to gawk at. It was the heyday of P.T. Barnum when the obscene was turned into profit. And unlike most of his peers, Martin Lorello didn't look like a sideshow freak. To the contrary, he appeared like any other citizen until he revealed his shocking trick. And that
he was able to bend double.
He wasn't born with this ability, nor was his head ever facing backwards against his will. He had to train to master it and spent years doing so. But he became known as the human owl because he could turn his head 180 degrees and literally look behind him.
Why would you do that?
It's a job, mate. It was either that or sell your bottom. You could either be a human owl or a rent boy. 2 careers, that's all there was.
You see, something is wrong with your brain, Andy. I mean, really. Owl or rent boy. So you can do that, can you? I can barely look behind me.
I can barely look over my shoulder.
What's the normal
I would say
range?
Normal would be about 80 to 90 degrees.
Yeah, in each direction. So that's 180. So he could go a further 90 degrees.
Yeah. And that, to me, sounds painful and damaging. But anyway, he was born in Nuremberg, Germany in 1885. And he was born Martin Joe Lorello. He changed his name from Martin Emmeling upon arriving in the United States in 1921. Whether he chose the new name for himself or it was given to him at immigration remains unclear, while the talent that he had brought with him would soon be well documented. Among countless Europeans who left their countries in search of better conditions, fame or fortune, Lorello was unique. He dedicated 3 years of his life to successfully turn his head around at more than 120 degrees, satisfied with every additional inch he could muster, finding his skill very much in high demand. He first demonstrated his act at Coney Island's Dreamland Circus sideshow, and the seaside amusement park had previously seen lion tamer Captain Jack Bonavita lose one of his arms. And it was here that Lorello made his name, or rather became known as the human owl. Remarkably, Lorello could drink beer while his head was fully turned. He was incapable of smoking or taking a breath, however. The banner accompanying his act introduced him as Bobby, the boy with the revolving head, as sideshow men and women were called boys and girls, regardless of age. Lorello also performed at the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus, but winter seasons relegated the acts to indoor venues. At Hubert's Museum in New York, he found himself working with sword swallower Alex Linton, strongman Charlie Felton, and Roy Heckler, who commanded a well-trained group of fleas.
How can you train a flea?
That's one of the oldest scams in the book, isn't it? The flea circus. Because nobody can see them.
Oh, I see. So you didn't know what they were doing.
Basically, you're manipulating objects that make it look as though it's got something manipulating it, but you can't see what it is. It's just a scam. It's like the 3-card trick. After years of travelling to cities like Philadelphia, Newark and Patterson with Hubert's Dime Museum, Lorello was hired by Ripley's Believe It or Not auditorium in the 1930s, and he was advertised as the only one in the world who can walk straight ahead and look straight behind.
Hang on, let me pick you up on something. Why do you think that the 3-card trick is a scam?
Because it's a scam. You will never ever pick the right card.
No, but that's as a result of the skill of the operator of the trick. It's not a scam. It's a trick.
It's a scam.
It's not. Of course it's not. There are 3 cards, and he's able to manipulate the cards so that you don't choose the ace.
If there is no chance of you winning, it's a scam.
No, but there is a chance.
There is no chance of you winning.
No. Of course there's a chance of you winning. No. It's not like a loaded roulette table. That is a scam.
That you could pick up all 3 of those cards and none of them are the right card. It's only when he picks up the card, it becomes the right card.
No. I don't think that's true.
I have a friend who's a magician. I can promise you that the right card is not there until he picks up the right card. It's a scam.
I'll have to do a bit of research. That's
Honestly,
3 fact checks.
Ideal customer for these people. Go, oh, I'll get it in a minute. Here's £20. That one. Oh, damn, I missed again. All right, here's £20. That one. Oh, I'll get it in a minute.
All right, so but what you're claiming is you can turn over all 3 of the cards on the table and none of them will be the ace.
Yes. Until he turns it over, that card is not there.
All right. Okay, no, it's fair enough.
It's the same with the ball and the cup.
No, but these are magic tricks.
Yes, it's a scam. If it's for money in the street, you are not going to win. Therefore, it is a scam. It cannot be won. You really are naive. It's kind of sweet. No wonder you keep building houses for women.
Yes, you're right.
There you go, sweetheart. Oh, by the way, you're dumped. Okay. Now,
oh dear.
While Lorello was a star to any audience member who bought a ticket, his personal life began to take a toll. He had married a woman named Laura Precht and had a son named Alexander, but was ultimately divorced only to embark on a second failed marriage. And remarkably, this one culminated in his arrest during a performance. After fathering 2 sons with his second wife, Emily Whittle, Lorello walked out on them and never looked back. Whittle lodged a formal complaint with the police.
Is that a joke? And this we're talking about Owlman walked out on them and never looked back.
Which he could have done quite easily. For free. As a freebie. But Emily lodged a formal complaint with the police, which saw Lorello promptly arrested for spousal abandonment by Baltimore police on April the 30th, 1931. That's a fucking thing, isn't it? If you could report your husband for just leaving you and get him arrested for it in those days.
I was just about to say, I wonder when that ceased to be a crime. Or maybe it is still a crime.
Well, it's a bit like burglary. It's just, we'll give you a crime number. See you later.
No, but seriously, spousal abandonment, I didn't know that was a crime at any stage.
Yeah, I think, mind you were allowed to beat your wife in those days, weren't you?
So you were allowed to beat them, you were allowed to effectively rape them, but you couldn't abandon them.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, Trump will bring that back as well. The beating.
Yeah. Well, we laugh. Yeah, you're right.
So, yeah, he was arrested by Baltimore police on April the 30th, 1931. And as his head turned backwards, he winked at the officers. He was standing on a platform with his back to the crowd, looking right at his audience, reported the New York Times. He winked at the audience and the 2 officers. They winked back and then arrested him. He was held under a $500 bond and the New York police were notified. Perhaps the biggest blemishes on his legacy were accusations that he was a Nazi sympathizer. Having left his economically ruined fatherland shortly after World War I, it's quite likely that he found Adolf Hitler's insidious calls to strengthen the nation a promising sign. Ultimately, Hitler himself was Time's Man of the Year in 1938. Time magazine Man of the Year.
Was he really?
Yep.
I didn't know that.
He was a Nazi, said former colleague Priscilla Bejano. And he didn't like the American flag. You meet all kinds on the sideshow, much worse than me. Ultimately, as usual, not much is known about Lorello's final years. A replica of his head swiveled in Times Square during the 1939 to 1940 World's Fair in New York. His last recorded performance occurred in 1952, 3 years before he died of a heart attack. Some claimed he had to dislocate several vertebrae to fully turn his head, while others said that he was born with a twisted spine. But in the end, a lack of x-rays has left that mystery open forever.
I wonder, just as a matter of interest, I wonder if he could turn both ways.
Probably not. I think that would probably instigate a broken neck.
So, sorry, going back to Hitler. Hitler was Man of the Year in 1938.
For Time magazine, yes.
He'd already, people knew who he was he hadn't invaded Poland.
Not yet.
That was in 1939 he invaded Poland.
Yes. But
all of these big fascist marches in Germany, that had all happened by 38.
I mean, he was building. He was legend building during those years.
He what?
Legend building.
Yeah.
He was culminating. He was becoming.
Because he had those enormous rallies.
We need. Yes. Nuremberg
in Berlin with bare-chested women parading like Roman amphitheatre activity. Again, I can see that coming back to America as well. Bare-chested women parading around to the glory of Donald Trump.
Grab them by the pussy.
Yeah, exactly. They like that.
They like it. They love it. We're going to go on to... This one is going to be your favourite. This one you would pay to go and see.
It's a nice story.
I think it's lovely. It was the 1790s.
Oh, for God's sake.
And it was a French showman called Tirare. He was born around 1772 and only known as Tirare. He was a soldier in the French Revolutionary Army who was infamous for his almost inhuman appetite. The army had already quadrupled his rations, but even after downing enough to feed 4 men, he would still scavenge through rubbish piles, guzzling down every discarded shred of waste that was thrown away. And the strangest part of this was he always looked as though he was starving. The young man barely weighed 100 pounds, and he seemed constantly tired and distracted. He was showing every possible sign of undernourishment, except, of course, that he was eating enough to feed a small barrack.
So you're going to tell me he didn't have a stomach or something, or didn't have a large colon?
How would they know in the 1700s? There must have been a few of his comrades who just wanted to get rid of him, because Tirare, after all, not only burned through the army's rations, but he also stank so horribly that a visible vapour rose out of his body, like real-life cartoon stink lines. I mean, he stank.
I wonder if he had chronic worm infestation or something.
But for 2 military surgeons, Dr. Corville and Baron Percy, Tirare was too fascinating to ignore. Was this strange man, they wanted to know? Who was he? Who could have a wheelbarrow of food poured down his throat and still stay hungry? Tirare's appetite had been with him his whole life. It was completely insatiable, so much so that when he was a teenager, his parents, unable to afford the massive piles of food it took to feed him, basically just kicked him out of the house. He then made his own way as a travelling showman. He fell in with a band of prostitutes and thieves, both careers, who would tour France, putting on acts while they picked the audience's pockets. Tirare was one of their star attractions, the incredible man who could eat anything. His massive, deformed jaw would swing open so wide that he could pour a whole basket of apples down his mouth and hold a dozen of them in his cheeks like a chipmunk. He would swallow corks, stones, and live animals whole, all to the disgust and joy of the crowd. According to those who saw his act, he seized a live cat with his teeth, disemboweled it, sucked its blood, and ate it, leaving the bare skeleton only. He also ate dogs in the same manner. On one occasion, it was said that he swallowed a living eel without chewing. Tirare's reputation preceded him everywhere he went, even in the animal kingdom. I would imagine.
What do you mean, even nervous cats and
Squirrels
dogs?
would run for cover. Baron Percy, the surgeon who took such an interest in his case, mused in his notes, "The dogs and cats, they fled in terror at his aspect, as if they had anticipated the kind of fate he was preparing for them." Tirare baffled the surgeons. At the age of 17, he only weighed 100 pounds, and although he ate live animals and trash, he seemed to be sane. He was seemingly just a young man with an inexplicably endless appetite. His body, as you could probably imagine, wasn't a pretty sight. His skin had to stretch to incredible degrees to fit all of the food that he shoved down his gullet. When he ate, he would blow up like a balloon, especially in his midsection. But shortly after, he would step into the bathroom and release nearly everything, leaving behind a mess that the surgeons described as fetid beyond all conception. When his stomach was empty, his skin would sag down so deeply that you could tie the hanging folds of skin around his waist like a belt. His cheeks would droop down like an elephant's ears. And these hanging folds of skin were part of the secret of how he could fit so much food in his mouth. His skin would stretch out like a rubber band, letting him stuff whole bushels of food inside his massive cheeks. But mass consumption of such quantities of food created this awful smell. As the doctors worded it in his medical records, "He often stank to such a degree that he could not be endured within the distance of 20 paces. It was always on him, that horrible stench that seeped off his body. His body was hot to the touch, so much so that the man dripped a constant sweat that stunk like sewer water, and it would rise off him in a vapour so putrid that you could see it drifting around him, a visible cloud of stink. By the time the doctors had found him, Tirare had given up his life as a sideshow performer to fight for France, but France, they did not want him. He was pulled off the front lines and sent into a surgeon's room where Baron Percy and Dr. Corville ran test after test on him, trying to understand this medical marvel. One man, though, believed that Tirare could help his country. General Alexandre de Beauharnais. France was now at war with Prussia, and the general was convinced that Tirare's strange condition made him a perfect courier. General de Beauharnais ran an experiment. He put a document inside of a wooden box. He had Tirare eat it, and then he waited for it to pass through his body. Then he had some poor unfortunate soldier clear through Tirare's mess and fish out the box to see if the document could still be read. And it could. So Tirare was given his first mission. Disguised as a Prussian peasant, he had to sneak past enemy lines to deliver a top-secret message to a captured French colonel. The message would be hidden inside of a box, safely enclosed inside of his stomach. Tirare didn't get very far. Perhaps they should have expected that the man with sagging skin and a putrid stench that could be seen and smelled from miles away would attract attention instantly. And as this supposed Prussian peasant couldn't speak any German, it didn't really take long for the Prussians to figure out that Tirare was a French spy. He was stripped, searched, whipped and tortured for the better part of a day before he gave up the plot. In time, Tirare broke and told the Prussians about the secret message hiding in his stomach. They chained him to a latrine and they waited. For hours, Tirare had to sit with his guilt and his grief, struggling with the knowledge that he had let down his country while he waited for his bowels to move. When they finally did, though, all the Prussian general found inside the box was a note that simply asked the recipient to let them know if Tirare had delivered it successfully. General de Beauharnais, as it turned out, still didn't trust Tirare enough to send him off with any real information. The whole thing had been just another test. The Prussian general was so curious that he ordered Tirare to be hung. Once he'd calmed down, though, he felt a little bit of pity for the flabby man, openly sobbing on his gallows. So he had a change of heart and he let Tirare go back to the French lines, warning him, with a quick thrashing, never to try a stunt like this again. Safely back in France now, Tirare begged the army not to make him deliver any more secret messages. He didn't want to be this way anymore, he told them, and he pleaded with Baron Percy to make him like everybody else. So Percy did his best. As an expert doctor at the time, he fed him wine vinegar, tobacco pills, laudanum, cocaine, mercury, and probably radium, and every medicine he could imagine in the hopes of quenching his incredible appetite. But Tirare stayed the same no matter what he tried. If anything, he was hungrier than ever. No amount of food would satisfy him. The insatiable Tirare sought out other meals in the worst possible places. During one desperate fit of hunger, he was caught drinking the blood that had been removed from the hospital patients and even eating some of the bodies in the morgue. When a 14-month-old baby disappeared and rumours started to spread that Tirare was behind it, Baron Percy got fed up. He chased Tirare out, forcing him to fend for himself from then on, and he tried to ease the whole disturbing affair from his mind. 4 years later, though, Baron Percy received word that Tirare had turned up in hospital in Versailles. The man who could eat anything was dying, Percy learned. This would be his last chance to see this medical anomaly alive. So Baron Percy was with Tirare when he died of tuberculosis in 1798. For all the horrible smells that had drifted out of Tirare while he was alive, nothing compared to the stench that poured out of it when he died. The doctors with him struggled to breathe through the noxious odours that filled every inch of the room. The description of the autopsy read, "The entrails were putrefied, confounded together and immersed in pus. The liver was excessively large, void of consistence, and in a putrescent state. The gallbladder was of considerable magnitude, the stomach in a lax state and having ulcerated patches dispersed about it, covered almost the whole of the abdominal region. His stomach, they found, was so massive that it very nearly filled his entire abdominal cavity. His gullet, likewise, was unusually wide, and his jaw could stretch so wide open that, as the reports put it, a cylinder of a foot in circumference could be introduced without touching the palate. Perhaps they could have learned more about Tirare's strange condition, but the stench became so overpowering that even Baron Percy gave up. The doctors stopped the autopsy midway through, unable to bear a single second more of the odour. They did learn one thing, though. Tirare's strange condition wasn't in his mind. Every strange thing that he had done started with a constant, genuine biological need to eat. The poor man's every experience was dictated by the strange body he was born with, one that cursed him to a life of eternal hunger. How weird is that?
I mean, I hope I don't have to think about that later when I'm eating lunch. I mean, really.
Oh. Well, we're going to finish up with a few small anecdotes of some of the other stars of P.T. Barnum's shows.
We need to, because our audience is going to be needing a cup of tea or a bloody tea break at this stage.
No, listen, this is one of the few episodes that people will keep listening to the end.
No, I don't think so. I think people would have already switched off at that, poor fellow.
Myrtle Corbin. She joined Barnum's sideshow at 13 years old. She was born with dipigus. It's a medical condition which resulted in Myrtle being born with 2 pelvises and 4 legs. And she performed until she was 19 years old, at which point other sideshow members tried to falsify her condition because she'd stopped performing. But none of the attempts at a faux 4-legged woman were as popular as Myrtle herself. And then we had George Constantinus. He was one of Barnum's oddities who was odd simply for the fact that he was foreign. Originally from Albania, Constantinus was covered from head to toe in tattoos. He claimed to be a descendant of a noble Greek man who had been kidnapped by Chinese Tartars and tattooed against his will, but in reality, they were probably just done for the show. We did a podcast, if you remember, about the Fiji mermaid.
Did we?
Yeah, it was one of Barnum's most famous non-human oddities, and the skeleton was on display in Barnum's museums, but is believed to have been lost when the second museum burned down. Originally thought to be proof of mermaids in Fiji, and said to be caught by trustworthy fishermen in the shallows off the island, the skeleton was actually that of a small monkey glued to the tail of a large fish. Do you not remember the mermaid episode?
I don't remember.
Fyodor Jeftichu. He signed a contract with Barnum when he was 16 years old, and he was basically just born with hypertrichosis, which resulted in his face being almost fully covered with hair. Barnum created a false backstory for him that involved a hunter who tracked and captured him, and he claimed that he was an uncivilized savage. And to add to the illusion, Fyodor would regularly bark and growl like a dog. Like Fyodor, Stephen Bibrovsky was another of Barnum's showcases who suffered from hypertrichosis, but since his hair was longer than Fyodor's, he was branded as part lion, and the cause of his affliction was blamed on the fact that his father had been mauled by a lion while his mother was pregnant with him. They'd buy anything in those days. I mean, it must have been great to be a con man in those days.
Yeah, you would probably have done well.
It would have been my time. Isaac Sprague performed with Barnum at his American Museum as the human skeleton. At the age of 12, Isaac started losing weight despite his healthy appetite, and he eventually went down to a weight of 43 pounds. He was often paired with Barnum's overweight performers to highlight each of their weights. And long believed to be Barnum's first sideshow attraction, the woman known as Joyce Heth was marketed as a 161-year-old nurse who had been George Washington's nanny. In reality, she only lived to be about 80. Barnum often claimed that her body was buried in his family plot, as the two were close. We did talk about her in the Barnum episode. And upon his own interment, it became clear that he was fucking lying about that. Annie Jones Elliott toured with Barnum during his circus days, and by the age of 5, she had a full beard, moustache, and sideburns. She was believed to suffer from hirsutism, a condition that causes excessive body hair growth.
You called it something else earlier.
No, that was hypertrichosis. That only occurs. That occurs all over the face, but hirsutism is basically your normal hair growth, but exaggerated. So where you'd normally grow hair, where it would be fine and invisible, it becomes thick and very visible. Then, of course, we have General Tom Thumb. Born Charles Sherwood Stratton, he became one of Barnum's most famous oddities as soon as he joined. By the time he was 6 years old, he reached his full height of just 2 feet tall. And his fame helped finance the museum's multiple tours across Europe and brought Queen Victoria to the audience twice. Eventually, he settled down with Barnum's second little person, Lavinia Williams.
So that was, and they lived happily ever after, I hope.
Tom's story was quite a tragic one, if I remember. I think we did talk a little bit about him as well. Born William Henry Johnson, but known in the circus world as Zip the Pinhead, he was one of Barnum's more controversial acts. Zip was born into a very poor African-American family and was believed to suffer from microcephaly, a condition that usually results in an unusually small head. When he was a small child, he was sold to the circus in return for a small sum of money. Barnum then displayed him in a cage, advertising him as a missing link between modern humans and apes.
Nice.
We did surmise at the end of that episode that P.T. Barnum was not a nice chap.
No.
And then, of course, we had Jumbo, was one of the first ever circus elephants. And he was purchased actually from London Zoo in the late 1800s. And he was brought to America to perform tricks with the sideshow freaks. He frequently played for crowds at Madison Square Garden, but his most notable performance was when he led a group of 21 elephants across the Brooklyn Bridge to test its stability. And his name, of course, is where we get the term jumbo to describe large things from.
He was just an elephant, a big one.
Yes, but his name was Jumbo, and that's why we call big things jumbo, as in jumbo jet.
It does suit, though, doesn't it? Jumbo gives the impression of large.
It's one of those, it's a descriptive word. It's a word like manky. There's no mistaking what manky means.
I wonder if there's similar words in different languages.
I would imagine so. But anyway, that brings us to the end of this lovely episode about the circus attractions from the 18 and 1900s.
I would have to say it was all in appallingly bad taste.
But it does fall smack in the middle of our Remit as Strange Stuff podcast.
No, you're right. And as I say, broader picture. I'll tell you what, in 10 years' time, Barnum's grandson will be opening up in New York again.
Yeah, unfortunately. And he'll probably have them battling to the death.
Yes. Yeah, literally.
Like gladiators they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Yep, that brings us to the end of this fantastic episode. It is a Patreon episode, so unfortunately it won't get the audience it deserves yet. But hopefully in the future, new converts will come to see what they're missing.
Yeah.
But thanks for listening. Have yourselves a strange week. Don't do anything we wouldn't do. If you do go to join the circus, join as a trapeze artist or something, because there's a lot of demand for that, not so much for the freaks anymore.
No,
if you
thank
are
God.
a freak, go to a sex club.
What was the name of your sex club?
Severin's Kiss.
What was it called?
Severin's Kiss.
Severin?
Yes.
What's that?
Look it up. Anyway, in the meantime, we'll see you same time, same place next week. And don't forget our regular show on Sunday. Have a good one. Bye for now.
Bye for now.